You're listening to a new episode of Girl Down Podcast with your host, me, Aeon. So sit back, relax, and listen as I unpack the uncertainty of my 30s, one episode at a time. Hey, welcome to another episode of Girl Down Podcast with me, Aeon. And today I want to talk about one of the most tiring things about dating men, but one of the things that is just necessary that you have to do is that I believe that until you get to a space in your relationship or your dealings with your man that he is comfortable in his trans amory, his trans attraction, that you're, and he's able to demonstrate that consistently, that you're going to be in a space where, especially when you don't know him or you don't feel comfortable with him, where you're going to have to test him to see if he is as open and he's as secure as he's claiming to be. I don't know. I feel like now we're at a day where trans visibility is at an all time high, and you have a lot of men, particularly black men, who will say that they are attracted to trans women and that they may even date a trans woman. I feel like men know the right things to say to not be canceled, to not be labeled problematic or a phobe, a transphobe. And I think that's good, but my experience as of recently and some of my experience as of girlfriends is that you can have a situation where a guy that you're entertaining or a guy that you're comfortable with, you sit in the house, you're watching TV, you're talking politics, you're talking life goals, the romantic interest is there, it's a mutual attraction and everything's going good. But then when it's really time to be in public and then when it's really time to test it, niggas start acting weird. Niggas will be like, oh, why don't we do something that's a little hidden or secluded? Or do we have to go there this time? Or why do we have to go to this location? And I'm not saying this to like deter trans women from dating. Like, you, it's healthy to date. I want to date. Like, and to me, I see it as par for the course. I see it as a necessary part of the game. And I believe we did an episode on my old podcast, Back to Number 5 Soul Podcast, Trans Woman is a Default. We have conversations where we explicitly talk about discussing whether your man is at the point where he's ready to have a trans woman as a partner. But I think this particular episode is just going about, like, how do you test it? And is it okay to test it? And I think for trans women, just given the amount of violence that we do face and just the danger that it is being us and living our lives and being at the open, from my perspective, I'm going to test you because for me, it's important to see if you, this man, this big, strong, masculine man, can rise to the occasion. Because even a man can be trans amorous or out or whatever, but the temptation is in them when it's an uncomfortable situation. The temptation is in them receding into their privilege and not challenging the status quo and not shaking anything up and being like a casual bystander if something interrupts their privilege, i.e., them being seen in a local neighborhood with you, and maybe somebody picks up on the fact that you're trans, and it creates a situation. And with any piece that I'm dating, like, I know I've gotten to a place with my transition where I don't care whether you know that I'm trans or not. Like, I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to be myself in public, no matter what form I come in, or how you perceive me, or like, I just got into that point in my life where I don't care anymore. And I truly want a partner that not only talks the talk, but walks the walk, and that can stand beside me, not just because I look like a woman, but they can stand beside me no matter how I'm perceived, because for me, that's important to me. And if we're not matching on that, that's a bridge I'd rather cross like earlier in the relationship, because if that's something that's uncomfortable for you, that might be an impasse in our relationship. But that's something I would rather know on the front end, and I would rather us confront than being surprised where I'm expecting you to have my back because you talk this game about how you support trans women, how you pro trans women, and that you have our best interests at heart. But then when a situation comes up for you to demonstrate your allyship, it's just like, well, where'd he go? You know? And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard, but it, from my perspective, it must be done. It must be done. Like, I remember back in the day, like, I tested my piece by just like, let's go to Family Dollar. Let's go to Family Dollar and let's see what happens. Like, I didn't want to do it because I was comfortable in my relationship, but I was getting signs that he wasn't as comfortable with me as he was letting on, because all of our interactions are in the house. All of our interactions are behind closed doors. I have to beg you to take me out on a date somewhere. Or every time something seems concrete, something comes up, something happens, something's changing. Why is that? And for this one piece, when I tested him doing the Family Dollar test, that nigga felt with flying colors. He was purposely walking behind me in the store. And then when I left out, he stayed in the store, left for me to walk outside. Like, he was just doing all of the hallmark signs of somebody that hasn't really in-depthly dealt with his trans amorous or trans attraction, to the point where not only could we be seen in public together, but people could know that we were together in public, or sense that we were together. Like, that was too much for him. And after that, our relationship fell downhill. Now, there has been some men that have passed that test with flying colors, and, you know, that hasn't been an issue. But I feel like, because I have the most to lose as the black trans woman in the situation, it's something that I wanna know, full face going into situations, because I'm the type of person, I know that my transness is going to come up at some point, and I'm going to be invested in how you respond to it. I really am, because for me, I don't care what you talk. To me, it's not about what you're talking and the things that you're saying. I'm a person, I like men of action, and I like to see how you're going to respond under fire. And if you're not somebody that can rise to the occasion in a way that shows me that your sexuality, when it comes to me and how you're perceived, that's something that does not bother you, or that's something that you're comfortable with, then you're not going to be the ideal partner for me. And that's something that I'm going to want to know ahead of the time, before I invest all of my energy, years, and emotions into you, and you really haven't done that work to build that part of yourself up. Because it's also not my responsibility to help you deal or come to terms with your sexual attraction to transgender women. So, continue to test your pieces and to see if he's as good as he's selling it to you. And if he's not, young sisters, older sisters, sisters, then you have some decisions to make. But this is my opinion. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What are some tests that you have? Make sure that you write me at girldownpodcast at gmail.com. If you're in the Twitter streets, make sure you're using the hashtag Girl Down Podcast or hashtag GDP. Also, make sure you're rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I will see you all on the next episode. And also, make sure you go to the Patreon page and see some additional episodes that aren't available for free on Spotify or Google. Spotify or Apple. See y'all next time. Bye. So, update. I hooked up with this guy in the DMV area. Hookup was fab, but once we started talking, I noticed there was a vibe. And we kept in contact. We were texting. I was feeling him. He was feeling me. A week goes by. Going into week number 2, we start messaging. And, we talking our little shit to each other. And he's telling me how he would like to see me in lingerie and that he would be willing to buy me some lingerie. And he tells me, send me a screenshot of what you want. So I sent him a screenshot of some Savage X Fenty stuff, of course. And also, Lizzo has a shapewear line that she is coming out with. And I wanted some pieces from there. And he's somebody, he is young. He makes great money. So clearly, you're throwing this out there and you're willing to buy this. This should be a drop in the bucket for you. So one of the pieces that I ended up wanting to get was like $80 or $90 from Savage X Fenty. So he said, bet, send me your Zelle or your Apple Pay and I'll pay you and I'll give you the money to buy the thing. So I'm telling y'all this story to let y'all know, to reaffirm that yes, I'm not just on here giving advice. I go through this on the daily. When you deal with cishet men, you are going to be tested. And sometimes the men will set up tests for themselves that they ultimately fail. So this was on a Thursday. He was at work, but I sent him both my Zelle and my Apple Pay because I'm a girl. You can send the money multiple ways for like $100 to cover the lingerie and any shipping and handling. So he said, bet, I'll send you the money by the time I get off work. So Thursday night turns into Friday night, turns into Saturday night. And it's not even the fact that he didn't send me the money or this was lingerie. Like, clearly, I'm a woman of means. I can buy my own lingerie. But it's the fact that we are still talking and getting to know each other. We're not exclusive. We're not in a relationship when we're dating. But you're showing me, you gave yourself your own test. And it's the fact that you're making promises that you don't follow through on. And I don't like that. So, and in my last relationship, I just was dealing with that for almost a year. So when I'm talking to somebody new and I see those red flags, I'm going to hit it. So when he didn't hit me like 2 or 3 days later, and not even just not hit me about him sending the money, but also just checking in because he was supposed to come to my house and we were supposed to hang out and I didn't even get no call. Like, just no consideration for my time. I was like, you know what? A bitch has been down this road before, so I'm going to block you and I'm going to just be voguing from the back, doing my thing because this is a test for me. I didn't even have to give you a test. Like, you gave yourself a test and you failed the test. And a bitch is back on here. I still got my dick appointment roster, but I'm still trying to catch a vibe or looking for something more. But I just wanted to let y'all know in real time that the tests don't stop. And I'm looking for a man that's going to pass the test with flying colors. But my God, like, don't make promises that you're not going to follow through on. And a lot of these men, they get horny when they talk to you, or they just be hot in the moment. But it's just like, don't make promises that you can't keep, because that lets me know that you're not reliable and you're not consistent. you don't mean what you say. So that's just a little addendum. And I will see y'all on the next episode of Girl Down Podcast. All right, bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Girl Down Podcast with me, Aeon. If you like the show, please be sure to go on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast. Also, make sure that you're engaging with me on social media. Also, if you have any inquiries or you want to send me any questions, be sure to email me at girldownpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, bye y'all.